Good afternoon to you and welcome to Qatar. Seems rather odd bringing you the first race of 2018 with daylight still here around us. But the new schedule is here and the new season is today, much like yesterday, but it is dry, which is very good news when you compare this to last season. Steve Day here, Matt Burt alongside me and Simon Crafar down on the grid and in pit lane throughout the day. 20 many people's favourites. Jorge Martin, second on the grid, but crucially he had a crash this morning in warm-up.
Yeah, not the ideal start to race day, the first race day of 2018 then, for many people's world champion-elect Jorge Martin on the Del Conqueror Gresini lap. He was up by almost half a second through the first 3 sectors when it all went horribly wrong at turn number 2, but perfectly okay. The 12th time in the last 17 races we'll see Jorge Martin go from the front row of the grid, and of course the victor the last time out in Valencia, finally breaking his victory duck at the Ricardo Tormo circuit in November.
It's nice, but sincerely Martin is the strongest, so it will be difficult to stay with him, but I will try.
We're wishing you luck.
Thanks Simon, and thanks to Nico Antonelli then on pole position. We saw a moment ago one Japanese rider, as you look here at another, Kaito Toba, career best 5th place start for him. Just
3 years ago now, 20-year-old Enea Bastianini, just 3 podiums in his last 20 races though. It's an average he's going to have to increase dramatically to fight for that first world championship.
Next to Bastianini on the grid is Jakub Kornfeld, but Simon, will move down to you.
Early doors and hope that with that extra durability, a bit more endurance in those key final laps, they might just have a little bit left in that rear tyre to help them have that podium challenge.
Yeah, the good thing about a kilometre-long straight is even if you've not quite done it in qualifying, you do get chances with it.
Race action of 2018, 18-lap Moto3 race coming your way. Front row, Nico Antonelli, his 5th pole position of his career. Row 4 headed by Leopard Honda's Enea Bastianini from Jakub Kornfeld, the most experienced, and Livio Loy on that 6th row. Kazuki Masaki, Darren Binder and Alonso Loeb, Tatsuki Suzuki and Albert Arenas, both of them missing through injury. We wish them well in their recovery, but here we go. About to go racing, Steve.
We are indeed, and we cannot wait. Earlier on in free practice throughout the weekend, will it affect his confidence?
It's got to a little bit. He's probably going to let the race come to him a little bit longer than what he would have done. He sure would have tried to have pulled the pin, I think, had he not had that crash in the warm-up session. Nico Antonelli making it quite clear he feels that Martin's race.
There's some good memories about this class that's out there now. I know you're watching the lights and your riders, but how do you feel about the race?
Yeah, you know, Moto3 is always very interesting because the races are very funny to follow. We have Nicola Antonelli that is in pole position with the team of Paolo.
About that, both he and Aaron Canet are probably the only riders in terms of pace throughout the weekend who look like they've got something to offer Jorge Martin. Of course, it can all change over the course of an 18-lap race. In Moto3, anything goes. You'd have to be crazy to think that this is nailed on. There is Valentin. The red lights are on, 18 laps here and the first race is underway. Brilliant start from Jorge Martin. Not so good from Rodrigo off the line, but somehow he manages to get up alongside Jorge Martin. It is Nico Antonelli though as well, who's got a pretty strong line into turn 1, and he will get the whole shot, Matt.
Yeah, Antonelli held firm, then he gets the whole shot. Yeah, aggressive from Rodrigo. That's unsettled Antonelli because it looks like Martin's picked him off as well. He has indeed, so Antonelli quickly pushed back to 3rd place. Jakub Kornfeld started well. He's up the inside of Sasaki, the veteran Czech rider, the only rider in this field who's taken part in every single Moto3 race in history and make that decisive break. He's exactly where he wanted to be, not where the rest wanted him to be, but Martin leads.
We've said before, Matt, here in Qatar, the crucial gap coming onto the start-finish straight is around 5-6 tenths. If you've got that, you probably won't get slipstreamed onto the... Oh, that was close there. A bit of moving around on the start-finish straight. Can Martin hold on to his lead? He got across the line as Gabriel Rodrigo tries to go up the inside. Doesn't work. Antonelli trying to retaliate on Kornfeld, but he stays in 3rd place. And now just in 5th place behind them, leading that chasing pack is Enea Bastianini.
What about the 2 Japanese riders that qualified so well? Sasaki in 5th place. Kaito Toba's dropped back 5 places from that career best 5th to 10th.
Darren Binder will also keep an eye on that South African. He's made up 8 places in 12th now. The South African, that gap again in this mid part of the circuit.
Over 6 tenths.
We're just looking here on board at turn 6 with Enea Bastianini. And there was a bit of touching going on here as he nudges himself wide. That's Marco Bezzecchi just to the left of him.
Well, racing is rubbing, as they say. Martin then now through the final finish straight. He was half a second faster than Jorge Martin, who had 0 slipstream.
Wow, it just goes to show you what that can do. But crucially, Martin still leads. He's still got another 3 or 4 tenths, and if it gets over a second, then there's no hope, because these guys are tripping themselves up. Once they get onto that Nini and Canet, then it is the pocket rocket, Ayumu Sasaki, number 84, Cornfile, who just picks off Ayumu Sasaki. And then coming through, Lorenzo Dalla Porta and Rodrigo, who's failed to stay with the leading group. Martin's lead is going to be just over the half-second mark, but here does come Aaron Canet into the slipstream of fellow Honda rider Enea Bastianini. And he will move into second. No, he just has to get back into the draft again. It is the fastest lap of the race for Aaron Canet. Now he pulls the pin, and now he goes up the inside, but they're just going in. That was a knows that if these two continue to chop into each other, Martin will be gone.
Yeah, they've got to use their heads a bit here, haven't they? The more they scrap, the more opportunity it gives Jorge Martin to stretch that lead away at the front of the pack. They did take a 10th out of Martin in that first sector. Dalla Porta's done well to get himself at the head of that big group battling for 4th place.
15 laps to go here. Yeah, there are. Philip Hurtle's down, and so is Darren Binder. Darren Binder looks like he's hurt. Philip Hurtle's more angry than anything else. He's had it pretty easy so far, although I'm sure he doesn't feel that way. And onto the start-finish straight. I think we're going to get a change of lead here.
Yeah, Canet's got brilliant drag. But look at Enea Bastianini, a 2-bike slipstream. He's got the inside line now. He's on the dirty part of the track. He'll come onto the cleaner side for the braking zone. Look at that. Bastianini using the slipstream to devastating effect. Just under 1.5 seconds. So there's work for the likes of Antonelli, Rodrigo, Dalla Porta and Sasaki to do to get themselves back into this podium fight.
Sent a message to Jorge Martin of Bastianini and Canet here. They're going to try and ruffle his feathers. You're not going to have this your own way. If you want the...
Open up between the lead 3, Bastianini, Martin and Canet, Steve, so they're on. These 3 are expected to be your main challengers, your main protagonists in this year's Moto3 World Championship. Antonelli keeping Cornfile at bay. They don't want to be jostling too much that group behind them, because it's just going to give this trio the chance to even open up a bigger gap. So here we go, back 560, tries to drag himself back into this podium fight. The race winner here 2 years ago, although with the slipstream, Jakob Cornfile has found his way through. So Antonelli might have set the fastest lap last time around, but he actually lost a place on.
And he might go, that is Bastianini, he's gone down! Enea Bastianini is down! This is unbelievable. He was in such a...
Looked like he may have just got in there a fraction too hot. I'm not really sure the punishment fitted the crime, but...
Oof, well, I'm afraid that's it. They're going to enter a group of 2 unless his pit board says so.
Well, there's a very forlorn and a very dejected and frustrated Enea Bastianini. A golden chance to start the 2018 season on the podium, possibly even with a victory, but it's all gone sour for Bastianini. He's going to watch the remaining 12 laps of this.
Dropped a little.
He has just been dropped, Steve, yeah, and he'll be coming under pressure as well, Sasaki, very soon from another big group led by McPhee. Then the Gian Antonio's in there, Toba, Mino, Masia. Can there be a worse feeling in the world than crashing off the podium and having to sit and just watch the rest of this race unfold, knowing that you probably should have been right in this circuit? If he keeps doing that, if he's a repeat offender, then he will be punished by race direction. Connect out of the slipstream of Jorge Martin. Perfectly executed then by the number 44. He's got the inside line going into the braking zone, although Martin just leaves his braking that little bit later. Rodrigo now moves back into 3rd place, although he's got in a fraction hot. In them, those two drag them up to Sasaki. They're not now a million miles off of the that podium battle. Sasaki back to McPhee's 1.5 seconds. Last time around, McPhee and the Gian Antonio was 0.6 of a second quicker than Sasaki. So Sasaki's going to be feeling the heat pretty soon from 5 or 6 riders. Canet looks really comfortable, doesn't he? Sitting right behind Jorge Martin. Looks like he's having to really exert himself to hang in with Martin, who we know has got great pace. This is a real dogfight for the final podium place right now. 5-rider battle, Cornfile, Dalla Porta, Rodrigo, Antonelli and Binder rolled the dice. Led out the final corner and got pipped by Nicolo Antonelli. So good strategy, good tactics here by Aaron Canet. He's just exactly working out exactly how the slipstream unfolds should we get to a final lap showdown against Jorge Martin. Into John McPhee, of course, now. He'll perhaps have that little bit of extra life in that hard option rear tyre choice he chose, as of course as well Marco Bezzecchi in that battle for 3rd place. The gap now between Martin, Canet and Bezzecchi has got up to 2.5 seconds.
He's done such a good job, actually, Toba, to get his confidence back. Meanwhile, at the front, 9 laps to go as they cross the line. Again, here comes Canet, shows his face at the front of Martin, and then we'll just tuck back into second place into turn 1.
This is about what, the fourth or...
The fact that the 2 riders that are going to potentially take 25 and 20 points respectively, as we watched the crash here, were on board with Martin. He was wide.
He was well wide, and that's how many times we talked about this weekend. It's such a narrow racing line here, and with so much wind around, it blows dirt and sand onto the circuit. If you get a millimetre off, gone up to nearly 3.5 tenths of a second. So he's managed that lead at the front pretty well, as Jorge Martin. Obviously showing no ill effects after that big crash in the warm-up session at turn number 14. 8 and a bit laps, 8 laps and 1 corner.
I'm sick of seeing you. I'll take defensive action. Dalla Porta's still in third at the moment from Bezzecchi, Rodrigo, Antonelli and Cornfile.
Must be really frustrating for Yumu Sasaki right now, because he just lost that crucial toe. He's never really, having lost that half a second to that group of 5 in front of him, been able to latch back onto them. He's having
the same way it ended last year. Turn 2 for Nicolo Bulega. The airbag's gone off. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, out he goes, but he was nowhere near the top 15, I'm afraid, and that's just a disastrous start to the season for the Sky.
And that's going to be a pretty big headache for him for the remaining 8 laps of this Qatar Grand Prix.
It's handy to know, isn't it, that, you know, even if you do get involved in a dogfight, you've got a good 2 or 3 seconds to play with, because he will know, of course, that Aaron Canet's there. He can see on his pit board, and Aaron, as you'll see in a moment, just
acknowledges that contact with the left arm, not just raising there, just say, yeah, sorry, my fault, didn't really mean to touch you there, but all's fair in love and war.
Sasaki has now finally been able to join this crew, the number 71, you can just see him there.
The
Sasaki, is that Canet?
No, is that Alonso?
Is it Alonso?
Yes,
Which one?
Yeah, it's definitely Lopez, yes.
Blimey, sorry, 72. He gave us...
And his teammate, actually, while we've been looking at this replay, Aaron Canet's gone to the lead in this Grand Prix. Estrella Galicia, Honda boss Emilio Alzamora, of course, famed for being the man who discovered and nurtured the career of a certain Marc Marquez.
He's got something up his sleeve, but we don't know if Martin has also got something up his sleeve. We've seen how quite easily he can fire in a hot lap when he wants to. And now they are side by side, and once more here Canet does lead. So Martin has said, you know what, I've had enough. Well, is he able to break away? Simon?
I'm here with Nea Bastianini, and just asking him a quick question. How did it happen, buddy? And how was it going?
Yeah, it's so difficult today because I have pushed a lot for recover the, and I would try better the next race.
Thank you.
Thanks to Nea Bastianini. Nice of him to talk there to Simon Crayfeld down in pit lane.
Yeah, well, in his own words, it was a stupid error. He was right in contention for the victory of this Grand Prix. It's only very early days, of course, but tactics are going to be absolutely key here.
Well, the thing is, Matt, from here, we don't know who's got what up their sleeve. You know, is it going to be the smartest man wins, or is it going to be genuinely the outright fastest man wins? We'll soon find.
Livio Loy's pulled into the pits. It's been a tough start of the 2018 for the Reale Avintia Academy rider, but with that hard rear tyre on now, with Bezzecchi as well on the hard rear tyre, they got this perfectly timed strategy-wise to fight for the podium. It certainly looks like it right now. McPhee's the man with serious pace.
Toba and Masia.
With the slipstream though now, Steve, Lorenzo Dalla Porta is probably going to be third over the line. By the time he hits the brakes for the first corner, he may well be back down in about 7th place. McPhee got a brilliant slipstream. He sweeps right to the outside of the circuit, and John McPhee, is he now in that 3rd place? Not quite though. Dalla Porta was brilliant there.
Saki likewise. The rest have tasted glory before, and it is getting close there as Fabio De Gianantonio pokes his nose into business.
That's been a top ride by the Gianantonio. He's come from 16th on the grid, and he's starting to look like a real threat.
Valencia versus Madrid, Martin versus Canet for victory. They're now 6.6 seconds clear of this chasing group for 3rd. It's going to be a hard one to follow on the last lap, this, because you know that Martin and Canet are going to be going guns blazing, and you know that this is going to be a phenomenal battle as well.
Back still really to, I mean, Kaita Toba's not out of it at all.
No, it's playing into his hands, this, because if there's a gap, they're all going for it. There's arms being put up in the air to say sorry. Well, there's no time to say sorry here. Just get on with it. This is going to be a bit messy at times. It has to be with this group of riders. Bezzecchi it is that now leads some racecraft. And so are the rest of them as well. Antonelli, well, we know that he's a demon when it comes to slipstreaming and getting himself in the right place at the right time.
Sasaki brilliantly picks up John McPhee going through turn number 10. Nice move there by Sasaki. So he's still on course for that first podium. He had 2 top 10 finishes all last year, Steve, didn't he? And both of those were in wet conditions. He was always nowhere in the dry.
2 to go. Still nothing really in it, and we're not going to find out, I don't think, as to what these two are playing at and who's got the best hand until about a lap's time.
Yeah, he is. It's been an outstanding job by Kaito Toba. Capitalising brilliantly on that career best qualifying of 5th place. McPhee then now back into 3rd place. McPhee and the Gian Antonio, they've come from a long way back, those two. They've had to do this the hard way to get into this podium battle.
It's a fascinating...
And prepare the last corner well.
Well, he can't say he's not practiced it because he's been sat behind Jorge Martin coming out of turn number 16 so many times. Will practice make perfect for Aaron Canet? We'll find out in, what, about 2.5 minutes' time. Rodrigo, Confile still right in there, Toba's there, McPhee's there, the Gian Antonio back with the lead duo as they sweep through turn number 4, and Martin just opens up, what, 6 or 7 bike lengths on the chasing Connect.
Into turn 5 now for the pair.
There at turn 5 as well, he's not leaving the door open for Connect.
Oh, and one of the Brewster bikes has gone down, and I think he might have actually had a bit of a nudge from his teammate there. We'll have to watch back that later on. Meanwhile, back at the front.
Sections of time away from Aaron Canet. He's going to have a bit of a buffer coming out of turn number 16.
Oh, the buffer's been closed here. It has been closed. And so the question is, Matt, does Canet lunge? In comes Aaron Canet. Who wins it? Is it Martin? It looks like he might just hold on to this one. But Canet, last chance. It's not going to be. Canet can't make it. Martin wins the first race of 2018. And in 3rd place, Lorenzo Dalla Porta gives something for Leopold.
To that penultimate corner, Canet thought he got close enough. Over the line, 0.02 of a second the gap. John McPhee crashed out on the final lap, as did Marco Bezzecchi. Late drama in that battle for 3rd place. It was eventually taken by Lorenzo Dalla
Porta as well. Questions were asked when he was signed by Leopard, but he has delivered, and Enea Bastianini will go and applaud his teammate over at the podium, although he'll be thinking it should have been me.
Now that's going to stick in his throat even more, isn't it? The fact that his teammates come through to take a post. Turn 15. I thought when Martin went wide at turn 14 that was going to allow Canet to be close enough just to sit tight, get in the slipstream out the final corner. But Martin was so much quicker through turn 15. Starting 2018 on the top step of the podium. I think Fausto Grazzini's pretty happy about it as well.
And so he should be. His other rider, by the way, finished in 6th there to Gian Antonio. So many times last year, Matt, Martin was fastest on Fridays and Saturdays, but couldn't get the job done on the Sunday.
Number 14, he didn't even do a time lap in the warm-up, and here he is now, standing on the top step of the podium, the first silverware of the year going to Jorge Martin. Some real good rides actually behind him. Dalla Porta's first ever podium at World Championship level. Great to see Nicolo Antonelli. Before that mistake, Canet and Martin in that race were a cut above the rest. The gap back to the chasing group was over 6 seconds, which by usual Moto3 standards is a country mile. So yeah, definitely.
Admit, I was wondering what happened when they'd signed him, but it is paid off.
How tight was it for that 3rd place though? Dalla Porta, he held on to 3rd by an absolute whisker. This man Nicolo Antonelli was just 400ths behind him, and then you've got Rodrigo was less than 100. In fact, it's his first top 6, or only his 2nd top 6 finish in 23. What a ride though by this man, Lorenzo Dalla Porta. All smiles after his first Grand Prix podium.
Lorenzo to come in as a rookie.
2017 in Valencia. He's taken top prize here in Qatar. The perfect way to kick off the 2018 campaign. Team trophy then will be handed over to Fausto Grazzini. Over the winner's trophy to Jorge Martin, the king of Moto3 in Qatar. Years before tonight, the eventual world champion in Moto3 or in 125s has stood on the podium here at Losail International Circuit in Qatar. So one of those three young men will be hoping that we go for a 10th year to carry that stat running. And of course, that eagerly anticipated 22-lap MotoGP opener. So fairly academic, 25 points then to Jorge Martin. Back-to-back wins for on that young Spanish there, rider in 12th place as well, Jaume Masia. What a job he did in a few races last year. In the team's championship, good day for Fausto Gresini's Del